Arkansas, Fort Meade, Auburn, Fort Wayne. A lot of forts. There's many forts. Okay, holy sugar. Cleveland, Minnesota. I don't want to talk about that. They beat my Niners last night, but don't you worry. The Niners will be just fine. Ohio, Montana, Vancouver, Oxford, Kutztown, Alabama, Cape Cod, Atlanta, France. Cool. Washington. Let's go over to Rumble. Where y'all from? Michigan, Nebraska, Maryland, Roman City, Minneapolis, Leesburg, Atlanta, Zephyrus, Florida. I think that's what it was. Dothan, Alabama, Kentucky, Timbuktu. That's probably not true. Aberdeen, South Dakota, Long Island, New York, Connecticut, Sweden, Penn State, South Carolina, Oliver Springs, Tennessee, Blytheville, Arkansas, Chatham, Virginia, Brenham, Texas, home of the Bluebell ice cream. Cool. It's good ice cream. Cedro Woolley, Washington. Some new ones here. New Brunswick, Canada. Thunder Bay, Ontario. New Zealand. We've always had a global audience. And I say that word global with a lot of remorse. It's not global. Should be flattel. That's probably not even a thing. But Slovenia, cool. Casa Grande, Arizona. Vandergrift, PA. That's probably where I should live, right? Vandergrift. Poughkeepsie, New York. Okay, that's enough of that. Cool. Thank you all for tuning in. Sorry about the long delay. So I had some business in Italy that I had to... Actually, I had a lot to do in Italy. So I've been in Italy for the last... I got back yesterday. Been in Italy for the last 9 days. And before that, Carrie and her girls came out to Pennsylvania and spent some time with me and my boys. So it was great to have everybody together. We did a lot of, family things, went to some pumpkin patches, apple orchards, just that time of the year in Pennsylvania where it's absolutely beautiful. And it was great getting everybody together. Living in multiple states, like Carrie and I do, and having our previous marriages linked to certain states. So Pennsylvania for my boys and obviously Arizona for Carrie's girls. We get few opportunities to get everybody together. Holidays, yes, but in between, we try to find something to keep them all together. And the week before last week when I was in Italy was that week. So I just didn't have the heart, to do a live while the kids were here. So I apologize for that. But, with me, it's always family first. And I couldn't stomach, not being near my boys or my stepdaughters and doing a live instead. Now, I know this is technically, my job, and this is what you guys follow me for, and this is what you guys subscribe to. I get that. But every once in a while, I will have a break or two like that. Now, with that said, I do plan on going live multiple times this coming week. So tonight will be the first day. Tuesday, I'm looking at either Thursday night or Friday night. Friday night might be more realistic. But I don't know yet. I'll announce that tomorrow on Wednesday. So just keep the subscriptions on. If you're not subscribed on Rumble, you could hit the follow button on Rumble. That's free. All you have to do is have an account. And it looks like most of you that are watching right now don't have accounts because my ticker has 19 million. And now that's across 4 or 5 different platforms, but the registered users are only, a little over 62,000 right now. So register an account. It's free. It's easy. It's so simple. Hit the follow button. You will get notifications. If you want to get off of Rumble for whatever reason, whether it's trolls in the chat or whatever, you could go to locals. That's the red join button that you see down below. That is a monthly subscription service. You do get a discount if you purchase a whole year in advance. It's $15 a month. You got some cool chat boards over there, cool messaging services, contests that we run. some exclusive content that I put over there. I write some articles every now and then, and I put that on there. So, yeah, Locals is another option. And of course, there's DLive too, which is also free. So, Italy, boy, I have so many pieces of intel tonight. I don't even know where to begin, but I guess I'll start with Italy. I told you guys, well, I posted in my Telegram video earlier today, this isn't going to be a super long live, but it's going to be filled with intel. And we're just going to start right now. Last week while I was in Italy, I ended up being, where do I find the words? I had to help some people with some systems that were having some trouble. I'll preface with that. And then I'm going to say this. Italy is preparing to activate their emergency broadcast system across the entire country. There were some complications and some things weren't reading other things right. Really basic complications, nothing too serious to worry about. It was actually a shock to me to find out that Italy was planning to activate their EBS. That's not something that I anticipated. I didn't think that the EBS in Italy would be necessary until I found out later what I found out. And we're going to talk about that in a minute too. Another thing, while we were in Italy, Carrie and I, sitting on the shore of Capri, saw fighter jets flying over our head, which would have been from the west of Capri to the east. So Capri is west of the mainland in Italy. It's an island. And the fighter jet was coming from the west to the east. So it appeared that it was going, over Capri. It wasn't directly overhead. It was a little bit out in the ocean line. But it was definitely going towards the mainland of Italy. And then when we were leaving Italy, we also saw multiple United States Air Force planes at Naples Airport in Italy. Large ones, very, very big, not fighter jets. In fact, the fighter jets that we did see that day in Capri, they were not. Hold on one second, guys. Let me just do something here real quick. The fighter jets that we see, that they were not American fighter jets, and that's probably going to make more sense as we go forward in the live tonight. They were definitely something different. I don't even know if I've seen a fighter jet like that before. So I don't know where that came from, but I know that it happened. Saw it with my own eyes. Carrie also saw it, and so did our family that was with us. So the Air Force at Naples Airport, that was very clearly United States Air Force. Big, dark green plane, a huge dark green plane, United States Air Force on the side, and what appeared to be troops going in and out. I couldn't really get a good look at it because we were actually getting on our plane when we saw it. So definitely some serious things going on in Italy. What exactly? I don't really know, to be honest with you. I wasn't given that deep of intel. I could say though that I know for a fact that Italy is preparing their emergency broadcast system. And just needed some tweaks to get it going. Now, moving on from Italy, and by the way, before I get off Italy, I should say I don't necessarily know how Italy activating their EBS has to do with us. I don't know if it has anything to do with us. I think it might have something to do with something else. And we're going to talk about that something else right now. I'm just going to get right into it. I'm not going to waste any time tonight. I know I've missed a couple of weeks here, and I don't want to start talking about things that you guys don't want to hear about. So we're just going to hop right into the good stuff. Now, there are a couple things that I want to reference tonight. The very first one, let me put it up here. Well, first of all, the title of my live tonight was Last, right? And I'm just going to give a quick refresher here. The reason why the title was Last is because of a very famous Q drop. And for those of you on locals right now, I would suggest just real quickly going over to Rumble if you do want to see, or DLive, if you do want to see the Q drop that I'm about to put on the screen. Let's move that up. Why is it all the way down here? It's weird. Well, I'm just dealing with some technical things of my own right now. This should go way up there. There we go. Okay. For those of you that are not familiar with this Q drop, this was something that Q posted. Well, you could see it there, 5 years, 7 months, 2 weeks, 3 hours, and 3 minutes ago, and that was as of earlier tonight. So this is a very famous Q drop, and we have been talking about it for a number of years now, obviously. I've referenced this Q drop a bunch of times when I was doing lives, pertaining to Israel or pertaining to just the Great Awakening plan in general. And it very clearly and very directly says we are saving Israel for last. Goes on to say there's a very specific reason not mentioned a single time, meaning Q has not talked about the reason that Israel was being saved for last. But I can tell you why Israel's been saved for last. I think most of you most likely know why Israel was saved for last as well. For those of you that don't know, though, Israel is a hotbed for the cabal. Israel is the number one place on flat earth for child sex trafficking and human trafficking. Israel is the gateway to the Middle East for the cabal's illicit affairs. And much like Ukraine, Israel is not even really, no disrespect to any Israelis or anyone that lives in Israel or has heritage in Israel. I mean, absolutely no disrespect by saying this. Most people don't know, this type of thing, and they just go on with their lives living in the darkness, not knowing what's actually going on around them. But Israel is a playground for the cabal. Israel is probably not, talking about the citizens, but probably the worst place there is when it comes to the cabal and the global new world order that has been set up over the last several decades, centuries. That is exactly why the United States has always considered Israel such a close ally. Why? Why would Israel be such a close ally? You know, why wouldn't you have a superpower like a Russia or a China as a close ally? Why Israel? Strategically located, obviously, but many other reasons too that I don't want to go into right now. Israel, though, is the epicenter of the cabal. It is basically the country of the cabal. If you could say, okay, well, Phil, you talk about the cabal all the time. Why? Where are they from? Where would you say that this cabal, what country do they belong to? The answer to that is Israel. And that cue drop that we just had on the screen that is very famous, probably one of the most famous, that's why Q was talking about Israel, and that's why Q was talking about saving Israel for last. May not make sense just yet, but this is going to come completely full circle by the end of the live tonight. I want to say a couple things. First of all, the news tonight is not bad news, okay? When I say it and it comes out of my mouth, it may initially be perceived as some kind of bad news. It's not. This, what I'm about to talk about, has been in the cards, as you just saw, for 5 years. Let's put that drop back on the screen. You can see right at the bottom how long ago it was posted. Now, I took this screenshot earlier tonight, so the 3 minutes and the hours, but you could see the 5 years, 7 months, 2 weeks. This was posted a while ago. So Israel being saved for last, according to Q, has always been part of the White Hat's plan. I talked last week on Telegram. By the way, for those of you that are not on Telegram, I strongly suggest getting on Telegram. I put little drops of my own and crumbs of my own on there about things that I can't necessarily talk about just yet, but I try to give them to you in a different way so that you could decode them. I know Amanda Q Decode, I think she's called. She said some bad things about me a year ago, but she's been on to me lately and posting a lot of my stuff. And a lot of you have. That guy on the couch is another one that posts some stuff all the time. Striker is another one that posts some stuff all the time. There's a Patriot Princess that's out there that posts some stuff all the time. All you guys are doing really, really good with decoding some of the stuff that I put out there. So I'm super proud of that. And I'm glad that I'm teaching you guys to think that way. That's exactly how we need to think. And we need more people like me out there and doing exactly that. So I'm really proud of you guys for that. But anyway, I put on Telegram over the last week a lot of information directing you guys to take a closer look at two individuals, Vladimir Putin and President Xi from China. Why? Why, when everything going on with Israel over here, am I telling you to look the other way at Putin and Xi? Well, there's this. This was just about 2 weeks ago, where Vladimir Putin and President Xi met in Beijing and, quote, called for close policy coordination. Again, if you're on locals, you'll have to hop over to Rumble or DLive to see the screenshot that's on the screen right now. Russian President Vladimir Putin, Chinese leader Xi meet in Beijing and call for close policy coordination. Now, of course, the mainstream media got this story and they said, oh, well, they're talking about the New World Order and they're meeting about this. Whatever they said is just completely bullshit. They were meeting on something far more important and something that's been in the works now for years. And it certainly wasn't anything that they talked about. Now, Putin's not going to come out and tell you what they talked about. Xi's not going to come out and tell you what they talked about, but I will. I'll tell you what they talked about. Now, that meeting between Xi and Putin in Beijing, that was about 2 weeks ago. It wasn't last week, I think it was the week before. And it kind of took people by surprise because it wasn't like this long scheduled meeting where they were supposed to be, meeting for a long time. And it wasn't like sporadic either. It wasn't just, out of the blue. They knew they were doing it, obviously, but when it was reported, the press kind of found out about it then, Just so happens that yesterday, several media outlets started reporting some very, very interesting activity in the Middle East. You can see the date there, and that is 10/22/23. It happened to be Sunday. China now has 6 warships in the Middle East. The move comes as the U.S. deployed the USS Gerald R. Ford, the largest aircraft carrier ever built. Now, I'm not really concerned about what the media says, into the mainstream media, in terms of why those ships are there. That's not of a concern of mine, nor should it be yours, because they lie, right? But when you put together all of these little pieces, you see China's warships going to the Middle East. Now, why would China go to the Middle East? Is this not a war between Hamas and Hezbollah and Israel and the Iron Dome and blah 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 from the media? It's all you see on the mainstream media now is this war crap, right? I put up a video on Telegram last week depicting all of these bodies, all over the place, and legs are missing, and there's children, and there's... Listen. Well, I'll save that to the end. But nonetheless, the video was very... We'll talk about that later. But China sending warships to the Middle East makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. In terms of the official narrative, makes no sense. What's actually happening, which you're about to find out, is, it makes total sense. If you look at that, if you look at the actual reason why they're sending it there, sending their military there, makes total sense. Now, brace yourself for what I'm about to say, because and not only brace yourself, but take a 10-minute pause. After I say it, take a 10-minute pause before you react. Don't react positively. Don't react negatively. Stay centered and just chill, okay? By the way, we're up to 25 million people watching, so now I'm really nervous, and I think I'm just going to end the show. That's the largest crowd ever. I can't even talk now. I have a fear of public speaking. All right, I think I'll continue. Thank you guys for the viewership tonight. This is insane. Love you too. Don't react. Listen with your ears. None of your talking, none of your thinking, nothing, none of that. Just... This is something that I've known for a while. This is something that the Q group has known for a while, and this is something that was always going to happen. There was no avoiding what's to come next. In any iteration of the plan, there was no avoiding this. And it's fine. It's okay. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to talk about why everything's going to be okay shortly after. Vladimir Putin is about to announce a special military operation in an upcoming attack of Israel. You heard me right. Vladimir Putin is about to declare war on Israel. President Xi and China are positioning their military in the Middle East because if the United States decides to get involved with Israel from a military standpoint, China is not going to let that happen. This is eerily similar to how World War II started. And this is eerily similar to what Trump has been saying for quite a while now about Biden and the Biden administration starting World War III. If Hamas, Hezbollah, Israel, and whoever else in the Middle East, Iran, Syria, if they want to get in a war over territory or over religious whatever, that's for them to do. But Russia attacking Israel is different. That is not, for any reason, any logical reason to happen. However, if you look at the plan and you look at what's actually real and not what's reported by the mainstream media as real, Israel is the cabal. Ukraine was the cabal. Where did Putin go? Ukraine. Putin showed no remorse for going into Ukraine. The mainstream media kept saying, oh, Ukraine's fighting back and they're winning the war. They were devastated. They were destroyed. The United States government money laundered through Congress to give aid to Ukraine. How many billions have we given to Ukraine? It's some ridiculous number now, I know that, but the plan is to do the same for Israel because it's the only way. Those of you that know your Bible, this was in the Bible. It's biblical. Now, here's the part where you really have to take a pause on, okay? Russia's not really going to attack Israel. Putin is going to announce it. Italy's over there like, oh shit. Like they know, I don't know how they know of this, but they know. That's why they're preparing the EBS. Putin's not actually going to do it, but it's going to really seem like he's going to do it. And Xi and China are then going to come out in their support of Putin, which means if the United States were to support Israel, because they're our big ally, you know, why they're our ally? Because you like trafficking children, you scumbags. All of Congress has to go to jail, all of them. And then, you know, if we made a mistake on some people, we'll pull them out afterwards. If the United States were to get involved and defend Russia, that is an act against, if the United States were to get involved and defend Israel against Russia, that's an act of war against Russia. China and Russia are allies. China attacks the United States. Sounds scary, right? Oh shit, you know, we got Russia, really bad. We got China, really bad. They both are now against the United States, who else are they allies with? You know, where does Japan fall in this? Where does Germany fall in this? Who else around the world do we have to be worried about that are already on good terms with both Putin and Xi? That is exactly what you call World War. Now, I told everybody not to react. Don't get scary. Don't get scared and say, oh, Phil is, doom and gloom and blah, 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 blah. One very important thing, and this is why, for those of you that didn't follow Q early on, and are just kind of coming onto it now, I don't know if you could see like my calmness. I'm talking about World War III. I'm talking about, the United States being targeted by two world superpowers such as China and Russia, and I'm cool. No, I'm all right. You should be too. Why? Because we knew this was coming. Look how long ago we knew this was coming. You read that date up there on the top? Again, for those of you over on locals that we can't get screenshots to, you want to hop over to Rumble or D Live real quick. Dude over here said, I'm not scared, I'm going to order a pizza. That's great. It's really great. This Q drop here on the screen right now from January 13th, 2018. For those of you that don't want to do that math, it is down there in the bottom left, 5 years, 9 months, 1 week, and 3 days ago. Q told us the following. We are fighting for life. We are fighting for good. We are at war. Not everything will be clean. Scare necessary event. Now, through online whatever, that turned into scare event necessary. Don't know how it gets there. It's like when you pass that message throughout the whole classroom, and by the time it gets from student 1 to student 30, the message got jumbled somehow. But whatever, scare necessary event, scare event necessary, meaning that there has to be a scary event and it's needed to happen. Q was literally telling us this over 5 years ago. Do you trust the U.S. military? Do you trust the chain of command? Have faith. We're in control. Patriots, Patriots Day. Have faith. You were chosen for a reason. You're being provided the highest level of intel to ever be dropped publicly in the history of the world. Let me read that again. You are being provided the highest level of intel to ever be dropped publicly in the history of the world. You guys realize that? You guys realize that the stuff that Q posted was coming from high-level military sources? That's never happened before. Never. To this point, when in October 2017, when Q started posting, there was never any sort of military intelligence on the internet. It didn't happen that way. That's why the old schoolers come around now and say, Q would never have any of the military would never autograph what they're going to do. You know what? That's true of the past. But the current, future, and the present that we live in, things have changed. It's not like it used to be. Static, if you're in static, great. I love static. Love when it happens. By the way, I know why there's static now. There's static not because of the equipment. There's static because of communication errors and setting errors between Streamlabs and my equipment. So I will fix that. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I just got back, from Italy yesterday. So I will fix that static and the settings stuff. I will get to that. I just haven't yet. But I just want to let you guys know that it's not my equipment. What? On locals? No sound on locals at all, huh? That's funny. Um, really? Because I'm showing that I have sound. No sound? That's great. How about now? Any better? All right. Great. Carrie's in there giving me the play-by-play. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to ignore the static the rest of the night because I don't want to go through that anymore. I've heard the static in playbacks, in the replays. Sometimes I watch the replays to hear, what the audio is like and whatever. And I know it's a little annoying, but it's not unbearable. You could still hear what I'm saying. So I'm just going to ignore the static from this. So you don't have to keep saying static in the thing. I'm not going to do anything about it, even if you do. So just let's ignore that. Let's listen to my voice. I'm certainly loud enough. Okay. Anyway, about the intel being dropped publicly in internet format by Q. This was a choice that the Q team made, the military, Q clearance team made, because they thought the public needed to know what was going on. They knew that they couldn't trust the mainstream media to report the actual truth. So Q and that group went around and pulled a flea flicker. And they did things that were never done before from a military perspective. And that's exactly what we have here. Goes on to say the last few lines there, use it, meaning the intel that's being dropped. Use it, protect and comfort those around you. Where we go one, we go all. So we knew a scare event was coming. Did we know that Putin was gonna attack Israel, or should I say threaten to attack Israel? Well, the Q team knew it all along. Putin had a role in this from the very beginning. This is nothing new whatsoever to the plan and to the Great Awakening. Two of the worst places in the world, hotbeds for the cabal, were Ukraine and Israel. You already saw Putin go after Ukraine. Even though all the sanctions and all the threats and all the everything made by Putin better not go to Ukraine. I remember Biden saying it. Well, if Putin goes to Ukraine, he's making a huge mistake. Oh yeah? Why? What exactly, what mistake, what were the consequences of that huge mistake? Because when I think of huge mistake, I think of, well, you're going to do a certain action and then the consequences to that action are going to be so great that you're going to classify the action as a huge mistake. What were the consequences to Vladimir Putin for invading Ukraine? Zero. In fact, if you really want to look at consequences and who got the worst end of the Putin going into Ukraine thing, it was the United States. No doubt. No doubt about it. Somebody put in the chat before, 130 billion to Ukraine from the US. That's our money. That's our money. The money that gets taken out of your paycheck. Income tax. Money that you owe the IRS. It's going to Ukraine. It's not going to you to fix your school districts or your local police department or your roads or your bridges. It's going to Ukraine. And now, by the way, the chin nuts thing with Biden, that was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. If, for any reason, any of you out there still thought Joe Biden, the guy that's supposedly president, if any of you thought that Joe Biden was the actual Joe Biden and that's not some guy wearing a mask to make himself look like Joe Biden, all you got to do is watch that interview where his chin falls off. It literally just falls right off. I think Nick from Good Lion Films was one of the first ones to say, oh, well, they got really good at not keeping him in a hot room for too long, but they're slipping now. And Biden, whatever adhesive they use inside that silicone mask, man, it just, they dropped, his nuts dropped. It's just not Joe Biden. I don't know what else to say. It's not him. And I've been saying that for years, and you're starting to see things fall apart, literally. Um, so, another thing I want to address: massive rumors going around about Putin having a heart attack and all this stuff, just completely fabricated and untrue. Vladimir Putin is alive and well. Vladimir Putin, it sounds weird even when I hear myself saying it, when I hear it come out of my mouth. Vladimir Putin is essential to this. The mainstream media and everything that we've heard regurgitated time and time and time again from the mainstream media is that Vladimir Putin is this big bad guy, right? And he hates America and he murders people. And first of all, they do things a different way in Russia. If you backstab somebody within the government, or if you plan a coup, or if they just kill you. There's no, we're going to launch an investigation through Congress, and we're going to see how many Democrats versus how many Republicans think it's a good idea to censor you. No. In Russia, if you do what Schiff did, you're not censored, you're killed. If you do what Pelosi did, you're not censored, you're killed. If Trump's former attorney starts, when he was president yet, if his former attorney starts bad-mouthing him and spilling the beans, he's just killed. That's what Putin does. That's what Russia does. The society and the culture over there is completely different than what we're used to in the United States. So that's why I think a lot of people think that Putin's so bad, because, no one's crossed him. He remains in power. He's good to his people. He's no Stalin. Stalin was a murderer. Stalin was terrible. Putin has brought Russia back. They're a world superpower. You like it or not, they're a world superpower. So things are going down. Now, the title, one more thing before I call it quits for tonight. I told you it was only going to be about an hour show, and that's about what we're hovering around right now. One more thing I want to say before we shut it down tonight. I want to call attention once again to this little cue drop. Where are we here? Nope, that's not it. Give me a second, I lost it. Did I put it up top? Yeah, I did. This one. And again, the way that ouch, I think I broke my foot. Ow, that really hurts a lot. When I title my lives, my shows, a certain way, I do it obviously for a reason. It's because I ask myself before the show starts, well, what's the point of tonight's show? Like, why are you doing the show? What's the major content about in the show? And then whatever comes to my head, that's what I titled the show. So tonight I titled the show Last. And the reason I titled the show Last is because of that very first line right there in this cue drop. We're saving Israel for last. So it's clearly obvious, I think, to everybody now that Israel is reportedly at war. How real is that war? I got some questions that I want to ask about that war. I'm not so certain that exactly what we see on the television is what's happening over there. I'm not sure if any of it's actually happening, to be honest with you. I don't want to be insensitive, but listen, they said the Twin Towers fell because of fire from being hit by a 737. They said that a plane hit the Pentagon. So I'm not going to sit here and just immediately hop onto the theory that there is currently a war going on in Israel. Were there attacks? Maybe. Were they recently? I don't know about that either. That's not the point. The point is, Q said we're saving Israel for last. This is the event that Q was talking about. Except Hamas, Hezbollah, in this little war they got going on over there between, what seems like a rook versus a pawn. Well, that rook's about to meet the queen. And her name is Vladimir Putin. And President Xi, he's just going to make sure nobody interferes. Now that's really going to change the narrative, right? And what you're going to see then is a lot of people in the United States get very scared. Very, very scared. And that will usher in a new administration to the White House. We're at the last. We're at the end. We are. It's almost over. The best is yet to come. Just like we were told. So, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm keeping the live purposely short tonight because I am going to have more content later this week. Looks like Thursday, but possibly Friday. I'll make an announcement on that tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will have more to report later this week. I have to get back into the swing of things here in the U.S. And tie some things together before I could report it and make sure, obviously, I have permission to report to report it rather. So I will be announcing my next live tomorrow. Hopefully I see the same number of people then, because it's going to be a good one if I do gather the permission that I seek for the things that I want to say. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Record audience tonight. I appreciate you guys more than you will ever, ever, ever know. And I hope I helped in some way get your mind ready for where we're going next, because it is inevitable. It's been in the works for over 5 years now, probably over 50 years now. We didn't know how it was going to fall into place back then, but now we do. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for setting another record with me, and I will see you later in the week. Have a good night.